Hi everybody, thanks for joining me. I thought it was time for another kind of challenge video. And this one really not that hard, but it's gonna be a full face of makeup where every product is under $5. And it's all gonna be things that come from Walmart. I thought originally like maybe I'll pull some things from Dollar Tree and some things from Ulta because you could come up with some things that would qualify for this video from those places. But I thought it's even more practical if we stick to one location. Also a little more challenging. But if somebody really is trying to easily track this stuff down and save money and just have a one-stop shop for it, we're gonna try Walmart. And I do feel like as a whole, outside of Dollar Tree, they're gonna offer the lowest prices on things. And another thought that was really behind this, I'd seen someone deeply involved in the makeup industry on TikTok giving like their favorite makeup picks from the drugstore, and nothing dove into any of these brands that I'm gonna talk about. There might have been something from e.l.f., but it's really been my theme over the past year as well, is that these lower cost drugstore brands are still offering a ton of great items. And I put down the specific price of everything so you'd know I'm not just estimating here, so I'll let you know what that is as we go along. If I don't say it out loud, it'll be on the screen. But we're gonna start out, I've already got my skincare on, and I've got this lip balm to prep my lips with. This is the Squeeze Me lip balm from e.l.f. This is the vanilla frosting scent, and my lips have been very dry with all this heat that we're running right now. I think there are still power outages from this ice storm. I'm shooting this on Thursday morning, but we've been hanging on pretty good. This kind of smells a little bit like buttered popcorn, reminds me of a buttered popcorn Jelly Belly, but I'm not mad at it. Good texture though. Aren't these kind of meant to mimic the Laneige glowy lip balms? After that kind of long chunk of time that we were out, our power came back on, and then later that night it went off again. And I guess a massive chunk of town and several towns had their power go out because something happened at kind of a key area, and it did come back within an hour that time, but kind of got us all worried. Since then, no more troubles with that, and we are currently under a winter storm warning for late tonight into Friday because we're gonna get like 3 to 5 inches of snow on top of all of this. Snow I like. Snow's not as much trouble as ice, but that also tells us that our ice isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So this was $4, by the way. $4.98 for a foundation. This is the sole foundation I was able to find that is under $5, and I had this on hand already. I had all this stuff, but it's the Relove by Revolution Super Serum. I have used this in the past in videos. It's called a hyaluronic acid foundation. F4 is my shade. It's a decent product, really. It does look pretty on the skin. I think for less than $5, it's great. There are some things sort of hovering around a lower cost mark from Wet n Wild, but to truly be under $5, this is it, and that's our rule for this video. So I'm gonna shake it up. I haven't used it in a little while, but it's got a little dropper, a functional dropper, I will say. Whoa. Shade match looks pretty good for me. And I'm gonna use my angled brush from my TikTok shop brush set. Just kind of start swiping it around here before it runs all down my face. But this tends to give medium coverage and some added moisture. Other lower cost options, like I said, Wet n Wild, you could look into the Bare Focus Tinted Hydrator. It's gonna be a little over my limit for this video, but still low. The Photo Focus foundations, matte or dewy. Rimmel Stay Matte is another low cost option. As I recall in the past, this foundation hasn't really won any awards for staying power, but we will have concealer on. We're gonna set it. We're gonna do our best to lock this in, but I've always been satisfied with the way that looks on my skin. It really looks natural. It looks like any good medium coverage foundation, natural finish. Like you could put this on my face and tell me it was something more expensive in the drugstore and I'd believe you. It's kind of the look of a Neutrogena healthy skin, you know? Little bit thicker consistency than that, but close. And some of the things in this video really aren't gonna be an, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like that's not necessarily the theme. The theme is keep it under $5, and I'll tell you honestly what I think about it. I think we'll find some areas where if you could splurge $1 or $2 more, it might be better for you. Next product is concealer, and it's the Wet n Wild Incognito Concealer, and this is $4.47. This I do really like. I think this pairs well with a lot of different Wet n Wild products. I wear light beige, and this has been repurchased. It's really proven itself to me over time. And I've always found it to be just a little short coverage-wise compared to e.l.f. Camo Concealer, but I do apply a little bit more of it, and I do find I can be very content, and I can be happy with the staying power of it too. So it's a great low-cost option. For that, I'm gonna use one of my current favorite concealer brushes. This is again from that TikTok shop set. this double-ended brush that's so good for concealer. I mean, they don't even specifically say like, hey, this is a concealer brush. I mean, it just has a number on it, but that's what it's really perfect for in my book. You might also like it for maybe some cream contouring, cream blush or something. Biddy's birthday is today. I can't believe I hadn't said that yet. That's been my main focus the last little bit because she requested, just like I did last year on her birthday, when her birthday was on a school day, I did a scavenger hunt for 7 gifts because she was turning 7. Well, this year she's turning 8, so she's gonna get 8 gifts to go on a scavenger hunt for around the house. With little clues like telling her, go to this room, go to that room, or try to figure out what room. Now, we have a snow day today. I think we're gonna be out the entire week. And at first she was bummed. She's like, I miss my teacher. I wanna be able to take treats to school. But we decided instead of bakery treats, since it's gonna be so hard to gauge when we're ever going back to school, we made little treat bags with stuff she likes inside. And we're also able to ensure that they were all like nut-free facility items. And sometimes that's hard with the bakery treats, you know. I went through that before with Uga's class. Look at this. Can we talk about this coverage? What I did was I basically kind of blended and smoothed it out with the smaller end, and then I dabbed it with the larger end. And once I got that all going, I mean, the coverage is really delightful here. It's not looking too heavy. It definitely just took me up a notch in those spots where I needed it, and I'm very happy about it. Steps 1 and 2 done. For a powder, definitely a powder go-to from the drugstore. It's not a loose powder, but it's a pressed powder from Rimmel, and we can make this work. This is Rimmel Stay Matte. I love this stuff. The shade that works best for me is called Creamy Natural, and this comes in at $3.97. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna use some with my little pinky puff here that comes from e.l.f. and I'm gonna target my under eye area for setting. It shouldn't take a ton to set incognito, but you know, a little bit. I think I got a cat scratch on my hand. Belle's Cheer Gym inserted a practice yesterday into the snow day that we had, which is understandable because the conditions, even though nobody in the area was having school, the conditions were better than they will be on Friday when she has a scheduled practice. So they're like, we'll take off the Friday practice and fit it in today. And I was able to get up and down our driveway, which is sometimes dicey, so that was good. Okay, so I've done it like that. I've really on purpose set my under eye and my T-zone. Now, because I want to be set elsewhere too, I'm going to go in with a powder brush. And definite characteristic of Rimmel Stay Matte that I almost always mention is that when you go in with a brush, you notice how I'm not kicking up a big cloud. I'm not saying it's hard as a rock, but it's firm and it keeps you really from overloading yourself. So it's really a perfect little setting powder. If you need a powder that's pressed and you really don't have any intention of wearing it as powder foundation, this is a good one. Now skin's looking a little less juicy than it was with just the Super Serum foundation on, but that's okay. I want it to last. All right, we're set. Ideally, I would have had a loose powder in there for that T-zone and under eye, but I happen to know this can work. It does work. For bronzer, we're gonna go Wet n Wild here. This is a situation where I feel like I'm really pulling for a favorite one, and it comes right under the mark. It's $4.47, and the shade is called Wet Shady Beaches, and it's a really nice, rich, pigmented bronzer. Another good one I could have chosen is Rimmel Natural Bronzer. Either way. This one's just a little deeper than the natural bronzer that I have. Really strong pigment. Wet n Wild's powder products, I mean, hard to pick them apart. These Color Icon bronzers, and yes, there's more shades than just this. I have a lighter, cooler one also, actually. But also the Color Icon blushes, just elite. Getting a little contour going there, no problem. And I'm just using that same brush I was using for powder. I wish all of my brushes in this video would be drugstore price range. This one is not. This is a BK Beauty one, but most of the brushes I use are definitely drugstore. And the stuff coming from that TikTok shop set, I mean, that's super affordable if you broke it all down. I will link below to that video because that might be something somebody who's also needing to maybe build an affordable makeup collection, that might also be something someone needs, is an affordable brush set that really has everything. We're getting the skin a little dimension here. It's looking good. I'm so grateful for heat. I'm grateful to have power on. I'm grateful for coffee in the morning. But I've just got my mouth hanging open when I see these images of California, and my heart goes out to people who are in Los Angeles, these communities that are just straight up getting consumed by fire. What is happening here? Like, I can't, that's on another level in my mind. But I talk about, oh, sometimes the weather makes me nervous, severe weather and stuff. Well, that is just so like all-encompassing, unavoidable, absolutely horrific. I'm so sorry if you or someone you know is experiencing that situation, because that, like, it's almost incomprehensible, you know, if you're not there in the midst of it. Like, what is actually happening there? Fire is just swallowing up entire areas. It hurts to think about that. I really am feeling for you. It's like all you can do is just leave. It seemed like nobody had time to thoughtfully gather up things, or did they? Any person I've seen like vlogging about it or talking about it, it's like just had to get out without hardly thinking. That's just so scary. I'm going to move on to blush now, a much lighter topic, but I'm going to do some blush layering because there were a couple of different products that I thought were good that I thought we could do that with. So Wet n Wild Mega Glow blush sticks, these chubby sticks, these come in at $3.98. So we're going to start there. The shade is Current Jam, and if you're really like watching what you're spending, of course, just do one step or the other, the cream or the powder. It doesn't have to be both to be satisfying, but I'm just sharing a couple options here. I swiped that on, it went on very easily. There's also cream contour sticks from Wet n Wild that you could get into, like Where's Walnut, those are good. But see, easy blending. Anytime we can do blush layering, taking that creamy texture and popping a powder on top, we're gonna end up with a locked in staying power look. So do that step first, and then I'm pulling in a Wet n Wild Color Icon blush, which is $3.28. Take your pick of the shades. I love Mellow Wine for something deeper. The one called Bed of Roses is really good, like a soft rose. Naked Brown, of course, for your neutral. Pinch Me Pink for a fresh pink that does have a little bit of shimmer in it. It doesn't come across looking metallic by any means, but it's just softened up a little bit in its finish, whereas the others are just straight matte. But pigmented, good stuff. And we're gonna pop that right on top of where we did the cream. So good. And it's just like one little dip in. It's Wet n Wild. Like, how are more people not out there just singing the praises, you know? Look how pretty that is. And I feel like this one, the Pinch Me Pink, if you want just a little luminosity out of the blush, this is the one that will give it to you. And I wanted to do something here where you could see the look and say, you know, that's not screaming for highlighter. Even though we've pretty much mattified things, we've brought back a little glow, and you don't feel like you absolutely have to bring in a highlighter product. But I will mention this. I know I've seen these in my Walmart store still from Relove. They're blush and highlighter duos, a lot like those e.l.f. duos that they took away from us. Well, I was looking for these online and I saw them, but they were saying out of stock. So I don't know. I don't know if these got real popular or if they're coming back, or if most people still, like me, are seeing some in store, but they're the blushed duo blush and highlighters. This is the one called Kindness, and I thought I would maybe use a little highlighter from it and just let you know that that product is potentially out there for you, because this costs $2.98. What a steal. These are good products in here. That's a fine blush as well. But look at this highlight. Whoop! Okay, I'm dusting off any excess because that's plenty, and now we buff over it. Work it into the skin to where it doesn't even look makeup-y, okay? You can see the glow, but you can't see any particles. Anything extra on the brush, it can come up here. I'm not needing to be like over the top glowy today, but that really brought in some life to the cheeks. I am loving this look, my friends. Now, I couldn't find a setting spray that was under $5 at Walmart, so we're just gonna skip that step. There were definitely some things that only slightly exceeded it, but we're sticking to the rules if we can, except for mascara. I'll explain when we get there. We're gonna move on to brows, and we do have options here, definitely. One that I'm just gonna choose today is from e.l.f. You can get these Instant Lift pencils. This one is the waterproof version of Instant Lift, which actually provides some hold to your brows. It's a different texture. I think I once described it like a pomade in a stick, but this is $4 and it's a good product. The shade I've got it in is neutral brown. You've got your spoolie, you can brush through, but yeah, you're looking at a good quality brow product here. It's a thicker pencil definitely than our skinniest ones, but we can totally work with it. And you'll just feel the texture is so different from original Instant Lift. Never really had a huge staying power concern with the first Instant Lift, but maybe those of you who have more fill-in work to do could weigh in on that. Like, you might be able to notice a fade happening in your brows better than I can. But this one seems like it really would adhere more, just more pomade-ish. I feel like that pretty easily filled me in. I don't know how good I did over here. Just not as precise as CoverGirl Nano, but I'll always have to feel that way now because I'm so into that. But something I've realized in makeup is you do start to get used to certain things. Making things work, shifting your application just a little bit to make something be workable for you. And just going through my brows now, there's a stiffness in there. There's a hold in there. It's almost making me feel like gel might be optional. It's really crazy what they're able to do with this little stick. But we do have a very affordable brow gel that tends to come into videos like this, and it's the Wet n Wild Mega Clear. It is so classic. You know how we have a lot of gels that are like the lamination effect, and we've got tinted ones, and then we've got this that's just probably a straight up hair gel put into a little tube, you know, from Wet n Wild, and they're going to charge you $228. Like I said, after that step I just took, I'm not even sure if this is necessary, but I feel like I need to go so light to make sure I don't get too much of this gel on. I got a lot on in the inner part there. Honestly, not really necessary given what I just put on. It's a step in this video where I'm like, okay, not a favorite. If you need a good tinted brow gel, here's where, you know, spending a couple more bucks and getting Maybelline Brow Fast Sculpt / Express Brow might be a very good idea. Or maybe consider that e.l.f. waterproof your one-step brow. We need to go into an eye primer here. We need to spend less than the cost of Milani, so it's going to be different from Milani today. Profusion, they got an eye primer available for $3.98. It's called Pigment Base Eyeshadow Primer, and I haven't used this in a while, but as I recall, this is going to add some coverage to my lids. And that might be a primer some people really want. Like, look at it. A lot of color with it. Pigment base, they say. This definitely has a little more tack to it also than Milani, so yeah, it would grab a loose pigment. It's not as tacky as glitter glue, but definitely more tacky than Milani, and definitely like giving me a completely neutralized lid. This one is called Neutral. So I don't know how many other options they have, but I definitely have way more than I need. And you might think, well, it looks like, Em, you're just putting concealer over your eyelids. I have to say this is stickier by a lot than regular concealer would be. I'm trying to mix it into my crease a little bit so I don't just have a jump off there where my shadow will start to crease. I want the base all throughout, but I don't want it so high that I'm looking super white, like all up in this zone. I think I might have put some on my eyeball. Eyeshadow, let's talk. We've got some options here. Not a ton, but some options. And what I decided to go for are the Hard Candy Moods quads. I think I've more recently used my one called Bare, which I really like for just natural shadows. I'll show you what that looks like. This one's Bare, and generally speaking, I feel like these have a little bit better balance in them compared to the e.l.f. bite-sized quads. Like, there's still some good ones in that range, but they really take care to give you a mid-tone in these, and the textures are really, really good. I've got a few different ones. I've got a warmer one. I've got a very purpley one. My second favorite might be this one called Purr, though. This plummy, kind of cool taupe. This will be good for us, and the cost on these is $3.98. So what I'm going to do is go into this matte, sort of taupey lavender, and I'm just going to get that rolling in my crease. There is something about a quad that is just so approachable. You know, you can see it and you can practically see exactly what you do with that just by looking at it. And when these came out around that time, they kind of, Hard Candy reformatted some eyeshadows. They had this, they have some larger palettes, they've got the skinnier ones, which I think I had one of those on in another video. And the formula has really become a lot more consistent than it had been in years past. So I'm proud of Hard Candy on that. There's that sheared out just a little bit. I think I'll build it a bit more. And good textures on these too. I just bopped my brush in. I didn't stir up a ton of powder, but it's soft enough to feel like, yeah, I'm achieving some pigment here. But nonetheless, this is a soft-ish shade, and it's going to be perfect for setting up the crease. I'm just adding a little bit more. And then we're definitely going into this dark plum right over here. Look at that. I mean, just what you would expect from any brand, really. I just wish these lines, like Wet n Wild, like Hard Candy, like Rimmel, just got a little more respect, you know? They should really be taken seriously. Because in a lot of cases, they've got something that can hang with those more expensive drugstore brands that are going to take you for a ride on foundation and charge, you know. I mean, I love my Revlon Illuminance foundation, but that stuff is well over $10. I'm sorry, but I grew up shopping in Walmart. I am never gonna let go of that feeling. I remember being younger and just building my collection just little by little because that's what I could do, you know? There weren't massive makeup hauls. Getting at or over $10 for a Walmart makeup product is always just gonna strike me a little bit, okay? That may never change. And maybe you're like a college kid on a budget, or you're just somebody who simply wants to watch your budget at any point in your life. You have options, and I'm gonna speak to those options. I'm going into the same shade, but with a smaller brush. So Profusion brushes. I did use a Morphe flat brush to lay it down there in the outer corner, but my crease brush and this brush from Profusion both come out of the same set, which is also available at Walmart, and I always link my brushes below. But you see what I'm doing? I'm just taking a little bit more of that plum, and I'm using this brush to shape it exactly how I want it. So if I want more lift out of it, which I do, you know, I can pull it upward and I can work with that some more. And the importance of having that crease shade down first is that as I do this lifting and swishing and circular motions, I'm coming in contact with that shade that was already put down there, and there's a smoothness that's making this darkness not adhere too tightly to that tacky primer. So there's a method to the madness, but I like plum, and we're gonna make a little something of this. And then I go a little bigger over here and I'm like, I gotta match it over here. Symmetry. But I'm just swirling up and out. I'm trying to stay above that imaginary line so I can end up having lift. And then if you want to, you can take your crease brush, nothing added to it, and just blend over your edge. Easy to soften, okay? Man, I love it right there. If you wanted to keep this all matte, you just continue on the lid with a little bit of that, and you've got this soft, very chic, plummy look. But I do want to show you that the shimmers can be very good too. So I'm going to go into this one that looks like straight up shimmery taupe, kind of a deep taupe. And I'm going to use that in a soft swiping motion. It doesn't need any help being built, but that also kind of helps us not have too much fallout, you know? And I'm gonna get that over everything but the innermost part. When I say everything that was bare right there. Gently overlapping the plum. Sometimes a little swipe with shimmers makes you feel more like that powder is under control and less likely to generate fallout down on your cheeks, you know? If you're just doing like a little pressure-packed swipe over it. And then this one gives us a little brightness. It's almost like a champagne. And I'll just take a little bit of that right in here. Everything is visible. Nothing is fighting with us. Leaps and bounds better than that little plummy CoverGirl trio I was talking about recently. I'm feeling like getting smoky down here too. I want to take some of our plum right on the tip of the brush. Don't lay your brush in sideways if you only intend to use product off of the tip of it, okay? This is how we have control and don't get a bunch of stuff falling down. Put product on the part of your brush you're actually going to use. I'm wanting it right out here, a minimal amount. I just dusted off my brush to remove excess so I don't get overboard, and gently guide that shade inward on the lower lash line, and you've got yourself a very softly defined lower lash line. Just the tip, tap it right here. Videos like this just feel like home. I don't know how to explain that. I love and have genuine intrigue for all makeup, but talking about this type of makeup really is my thing. Okay, so we've got that applied. Here's something you can do. With a product you have on hand, because we've put powder there on the lower lash line. I always feel like taking a little of like a Rimmel Stay Matte or something, take a smaller brush as you've got, and just dab right under that. And I swear, you won't have that drifting down, you won't have that shade becoming a problem for you staying power wise. Just a little bit of powder. For eyeliner, I did look up a product you could get that was under the mark, but I don't actually have it. So I'm gonna go linerless here happily. I really don't feel like I need to put on any liner, but it's Wet n Wild Breakup Proof retractable liner, only $2.28. I feel like I had that at one point in time, but I just can't lay my hands on it now. So we're gonna go without liner here, and you'll see that we'll be really happy with the look. And maybe I could borrow a few cents from what I would have spent on that liner and make it so I can use my Wet n Wild So Defined mascara, which is just over $5. Just over. The ones that were under the mark were other Wet n Wild mascaras, like the Mega Volume and Mega Length. Now, it has been some years since I've tried those, but my past experience with those products years ago has not been the greatest. This I love, and it's Scents More, so I'm gonna say I'm borrowing some scents from not using liner, and I'm gonna use this for my mascara. That's the one product in this video that has gone over. Oops, that's not the lash curler I wanna use. It's the one product in this video that has gone over my cost, but I've made my case for it, okay? You'll like this a lot. So Wet n Wild So Defined. Definitely my favorite mascara Wet n Wild has ever made. So I'm just pulsing my lash curler here. The lash curler is an investment piece. It's a Shiseido lash curler, and it's all I use. So short rubber bristles, gentle curve, quite a bit of product in those bristles. This is the unique thing. It's like CoverGirl Lash Blast, but they curved it a little, but they're allowing more product to come out on the brush, and therefore it's a faster build on your lashes. Even though it looks like it's gonna be this really defining style of mascara, they let some product come on, and it's definitely one of my top mascaras right now for this reason, because I don't like to rake through a million times. One quick coat, light, feathery, building up fast. 2 coats? Sure. I saw on TikTok that Rimmel has a like Hollywood Flawless filter type of product. I'm not sure what their ratio of glow to coverage is in theirs. Like maybe it's not quite like Charlotte Tilbury's. Maybe it's more or less glowy. I don't know, but I hope I find that somewhere sometime. Look at that lash. Compare eye to eye, like wow, quality. I'm only putting this on my upper lashes though because I don't want to risk any smudging down below. If my camera looks shifted, I just had to unload the memory card. You might look at my product list and think, it's just a lot of Wet n Wild. There are other brands, and there are other brands coming in some pretty key areas. Like this would not be the same look if I didn't have that Relove foundation. It's my only option. And then the Rimmel Stay Matte Powder, important. Our e.l.f. brow. Like, yeah, we had some key things. I just feel like with this video, in situations where I wanted to use something that I really, really liked. And there were a lot of situations like that. The eye lift that this mascara can give, I mean, just trying not to mess up my eyeshadow. I'm always torn between wanting to get in there with the lashes, but I don't want to touch my lid. So there's that mascara on with, I don't know, 2.5 coats going on there. I added like a little bit more after like this side had gotten a bit drier, but it does kind of coat best immediately, I think. For lips, a 3-step lip. Not that you have to use 3 steps, but I do want you to be aware of some different products in each of these categories that are under $5 and are good. So first thing I want to do is pull out my Wet n Wild Soft Blur. So this is a matte, lightweight, very pillowy type of lipstick. I'm gonna remove any excess from my lips from that balm, but we're gonna use a shade I don't talk about all the time. I always mention I'm Shy, which is a great soft red. I always talk about Homecoming Queen, which is a beautiful berry, but this is the one called Nude for Love, and it's a nude. And we're gonna throw this on and see how it's like matte, but it's not like a classic matte lipstick. It is a world away from Wet n Wild's like Mega Last matte lipsticks. Pillowy, soft. Got that on, it's feeling good. They smell like softly kind of sweet. New this past year to Wet n Wild, and so good. Now I'm thinking I want to adjust that shade a little bit. So I'm going to come in with a $2 lip liner. This is e.l.f. Cream Glide. This is not the best option in the drugstore if you want really good staying power. If you do want better staying power, look at Hard Candy Instapout or Revlon Color Stay the Queen. You'll pay a little more for those, but you will have better staying power. But a reason why I do like the e.l.f. Cream Glide is it's giving me a color I like with this shade called Mauve Side in a very pinpointed delivery method, a pencil. So even though I know it's not going to last forever, it can still mesh with other lipsticks really well and give me more definition and just help me integrate this tone, which I really like. So look how we had that nude on there, but what's happening to it? It's looking a little fuller, it's looking a little bit more defined. There's a good nude in this range, there's a good soft pink. Mauve Side is definitely the one I reach for most. I mean, I've sharpened it down quite a bit. Looky there. It's a little bit warm nude, but it's been fenced in a bit. I like that. And then a gloss. This is coming in at $3.97. You can get a Rimmel Stay Glossy lip gloss. A general characteristic with these, they're sheer glosses. They're a very classic gloss. Okay, they give you the shine. A lot of them have a little bit of shimmer. This one's actually kind of a creamy one. This one called Bare Minimum, but a lot of them have some shimmer. Some have more pigment than others, but all in all, there's an undercurrent of sheerness with the glosses. So if you can't get this exact shade and you get something that just kind of looks light, it's gonna give similar effects. But I'm gonna use this one. It's got this little like paddle style, very small paddle doe foot. And I'm just gonna go over this look, keeping it nude, but I'm really glad that the e.l.f. Cream Glide is there. How's that for a nude lip? I am so into this look. And what did we sacrifice, really? I mean, we put on a foundation that gave us pretty decent coverage. We were able to supplement with a concealer that looked good alongside it. Sorry, my hair is like, what am I doing now? We set the whole face effectively. We were able to do blush layering, do an eye look that I really like. A fantastic mascara was worked in, a 3-step lip. I love this. I love this so much. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this glimpse at some of the lower cost things at the drugstore or at Walmart that you can pick up. They will be some of your new favorites, I'm sure. It's not just settling. It's not just, oh, I'm on a budget, so I'm gonna have to lower my standards. No, this stuff is good and I'm excited to share it with you. And I'm gonna go about my day very pleased with this look. So thank you for your time, everyone. I appreciate you. I so enjoy your comments and thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I love you. Bye.